In this tutorial, I'm going to be going over possibly the most important part of your plan, your activity and exercise guidance, both of which are found in your training spreadsheet. It's worth pointing out that in order for you to access and fill in your training spreadsheet, you will need to have a Google account and have Google Sheets installed on your device. Don't worry though, both are completely free, and I have provided links at the bottom of your training page, from which you can download Google Sheets and create your free account. There are two ways that you can access your training spreadsheet. The first is via your weekly exercise schedule on your dashboard, which I have already gone through in the first tutorial video. Simply click on either today's workout at the top, or on any of the individual workout names, and it will open up your training spreadsheet. The second way is via the training page. Here, your weekly schedule is shown in a slightly different format, listing each workout vertically for each day of the week. Just like from the dashboard though, whenever you can click on any of the workout names, your training spreadsheet will open. So let's open up the spreadsheet, and I'll talk you through everything you need to know. But before I continue, please note that the spreadsheet I am showing you is for the gym-based program. The body weight program will look exactly the same, but there are some subtle differences, which I will point out when I get to them. The first thing I want to explain is that at all times, the only cells you will ever need to fill in and edit are white. All of the other cells that have been filled with a color are for informative purposes only, and in most cases, contain hidden formulas that are vitally important to the functionality of the spreadsheet. So I cannot stress enough, please avoid editing any of these cells. If you do accidentally edit the content of them, please let me know immediately so I can try and fix any issues it might cause. Along the bottom, you'll see there are 4 tabs which apply to the different weeks of your program. So every time you open your spreadsheet, always make sure you're on the correct tab for the appropriate week. At the top of each tab, you'll see a progress tracker. This gives an overview of your activity adherence for the week, looking at your workout completion and daily steps. All of this is based on the information entered elsewhere on the tab, so don't worry about filling anything in here. When you mark a workout as being completed, or hit your required daily step target, these cells will automatically change color. You will notice that I have frozen this top section to always remain visible, even when you scroll down the page. Please don't change this in your Google Sheets settings, as this allows me to easily look at your weekly adherence whenever I am assessing your training performances. Below this are all of the different workouts that I want you to complete for that week, each separated by a line of black cells. The far left column is the order of the exercises for that particular workout. Just like with your weekly schedule, feel free to change this and perform them in a different order, if your gym is too busy, to save you waiting around. If any of the exercises are labeled with a number and a letter, this means that you need to perform these multiple exercises as a circuit, only resting once you've completed all of the connecting exercises. For example, exercises 2A, 2B, and 2C would need to be performed back to back, with you only resting once you've finished the third exercise. You then repeat this full circuit again, for the prescribed number of times specified in the sets column. The second column is the name of the exercise, and next to this is a link to the demonstration video showing the correct technique you need to be using. The fourth column is the number of sets, or the number of times you need to be repeating an exercise or circuit for. Next to this is the repetition range that you need to be aiming for in each individual set. Please note, if you're following a body weight program, this column will instead be labeled target. And instead of giving you a range of reps to aim for, here you will see either a time followed by the acronym AMRAP, which stands for as many reps as possible, or you'll see the words hold until failure, which means you need to be holding a static position for as long as you can. Whichever target an exercise has, always make sure that you're training maximally and pushing yourself to failure. And then in the sixth column, you'll see the length of time that I want you to be resting for, in between each set. So for example, if it says 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps, with a 90 seconds rest, this would mean that you need to perform anywhere between 10 to 15 reps of the exercise, rest for 90 seconds, then do a second set of 10 to 15 reps, rest for a further 90 seconds, and then perform a third set of 10 to 15 reps, before resting for a final 90 seconds, and then moving on to the next exercise or circuit in the workout. In every set, you should always be aiming for the uppermost number of the repetition range. And if you successfully reach this number, you would then need to increase the weight you're using for the next set. If in any set you fail to reach the lowest number of the repetition range, then you'd need to do the opposite, and reduce the weight you're using. However, if you reach failure within the desired repetition range, then you wouldn't need to change your weight at all, and you keep using that weight until you're able to reach the uppermost number. This combination of continually increasing and decreasing your weights, together with the constant pursuit of the uppermost repetition target, will ensure that your training intensity is always at the required level to maximize your progress. Then, if we move across to your last week's volume, here you will see the total volume you achieved in this workout last week. For gym programs, this is the total number of reps performed, multiplied by the weights that you used. So for example, if you did 4 sets of 10 reps with 100 kilograms, the total volume will be 4,000 kilograms. For body weight programs, your volume is more simple, and is either the total number of reps you performed or the total length of time you held an exercise for. Obviously for week 1, this column will be empty, but in weeks 2, 3 and 4, this column will be automatically calculated from the data you enter in the previous week. I'll come to why your training volume is important in a second. So if we move along to the white cells, this is where you need to be filling in your training stats. If you're following a gym program, you need to be filling in how many reps you performed and the weight you used in each set. And if you're on a body weight program, you need to be entering either the number of reps you performed or the length of time achieved for each set. As you enter all of your stats for each individual set, you'll see the volume automatically being calculated in the final column. This cell will then change color, based on whether or not this number is higher, the same, or lower than your volume in your previous week. It will change to red if it is less, remain cream if it is the same, or go green if it is higher. So why have I included this function, and why exactly is your training volume important? Well, if you can see your training volume increasing, then you will know that you're training hard enough to develop your strength, and improve your muscle mass and fitness. Personally, I would recommend using this information and the automatic calculations to better plan your workouts, and make sure you don't waste any sets using weights that are too light. Enter the weights that you plan to use, and then enter some numbers in the repetitions columns, so you can see how many exactly you need to be performing, in order to beat your previous week's total volume. Once you've filled in all of the white cells with your training stats, click the down arrow and select Yes, to signify you've completed the workout. As explained earlier, this will then change the color of the corresponding workout in the progress tracker at the top of the tab, and update your weekly training adherence percentage accordingly. At the end of each day, you also need to be updating how many steps you've completed on this training spreadsheet. Beneath each day, you'll see a drop-down menu, where all you need to do is select the option that includes the number of steps you've taken. So for example, if I have performed 10,653 steps, then I would simply select the 10,000 to 12,000 option. Just like with your workouts, the progress tracker at the top of the page will then update itself, with the daily target cell changing color if needed, and your week's adherence percentage also updating. If you're unable to track your steps, for whatever reason, please don't leave this blank. Simply select the Unable to Track option. This way, I will at least know why your weekly step adherence percentage may be lower. If I then scroll down the page, you will see pretty much the same layouts for each day. The only differences being the cardio and core workout, which I'll come to in a second, and any day that doesn't have a scheduled workout. On these days, all you need to do is update your daily step count. So now, let's take a look at the layout differences for the cardio and core workout. First of all, you'll see that the workout is split into 2 halves. In the top section are your cardio exercises, and then in the bottom are all of the core exercises. Please always perform the cardio exercises first, as these are the priority within this workout. For the cardio exercises, you'll notice some of the columns have different names. The first 3 are exactly the same, showing the order, exercise names, and video links as per all of the other workouts. But the 4th column, labeled type, will identify the style of cardio training. This will be either continuous or intervals. Continuous training means that you keep the same levels, speeds, and intensities throughout, for the entire length of time specified. One example of this would be the warm-up, whereas interval training will require you to adjust either the level, speed, or the intensity of the exercise for specific time intervals, which you would then repeat for a required number of sets. The time column is the total length of time you will be spending on that particular exercise. For all interval training exercises, the figure in this column will be the total length of time, adding together all of the different intervals. The interval columns will then tell you how long you need to be performing each specific interval for, as well as the intensity and/or level you need to be using. For all continuous training exercises, these interval columns will remain blank. The next column along, sets, refers to the number of times you need to repeat all of the intervals. For example, if the total time says 10 minutes, and then the interval columns say 30 seconds slow, 60 seconds fast, and 30 seconds rest, and then the sets column says 5, then you would need to perform all 3 intervals back to back a total of 5 times, until you've completed 10 minutes. As with the interval columns, for all continuous training exercises, this sets column will remain blank. Because there are so many variables for cardio exercises, it is nigh on impossible to calculate your training volume, so the 2 ways I will be monitoring your cardio performance is by your perceived difficulty of the exercise, and how many calories you burn. Your perceived difficulty requires you to simply select whether you felt the exercise was easy, moderate, or hard. For the calories column, all you need to do is enter the total number of calories that the exercise equipment says you have burned. Like with the total volume column, this cell will change color based on whether or not you beat the previous week's total. If the machine you're using doesn't provide you with a total calorie expenditure, simply leave this column blank. Please note, I don't actually care how many calories the machine thinks you've burned, and neither should you, as this figure has no direct influence on your actual progress. It is simply a monitoring tool that I can use to see if you're working harder in each session. As typically, if you use higher levels and go faster, then the calorie expenditure figure will increase. The core exercise section uses exactly the same columns and layout as all of the other workouts, so you simply need to fill this part in exactly the same way. That covers everything you need to know about your training spreadsheet. Just remember to make sure you're always filling in the workouts and step counts for the correct week by selecting the appropriate week along the bottom. The final thing I want to go over in this video is the exercise library page. So if I now go back to the client portal and open the exercise library from the left-hand menu. Here, you will find all of the videos that you can also view direct from your training spreadsheet. Like on the recipes page, there is a filter system at the top, which allows you to search for exercise videos based on the body part you're working and/or the equipment required.